What's up, bitches? And welcome to FOW Future Talk. I'm brought to you with my co-host, Shoutmon.
What up, man?
And we are brought to you by our guests, the co-founders of the new wrestling company that is known as the UWF, Todd McFarlane and Master Splinter. Hello, my sons. It's an honor to be here.
It's an honor to share the desk with you, too.
Thank you. You know, I'm looking forward to this interview today. Looking forward to sitting down, having a nice talk with you guys, answering any questions you got for me. Yes, me as well, as I look forward to this. Well, if that's the case, let's start with a basic question. By the way, also, stick around as there is news regarding the UWF later on. Curious to know what the hell you guys are going to tell me. But, let's start with a basic question. What's the inspiration behind all of this? The inspiration, well, I went into it a little bit on FOW. Been a wrestling fan my whole life. Been going to indie shows, been scouting the talent, and I wanted to start a wrestling company, but me, myself, I didn't have enough. Master Splinter takes his stocks out. We talk, we chat a little bit. We came up with a great idea. And then, right when that news broke, you guys just so happened to be in the middle of the podcast.
That was a groundbreaking announcement when you heard all that, man. It was crazy.
And then, because of that, we were able to be given a platform, and we're going to be allowed to air our first show on the channel. It's great. And, we've been in contact with even more superstars, and hell, even on FOW, you saw somebody else wanted to be a part of it. Jeff Jarrett. We talked to Jeff Jarrett. And I think we've come to an agreement. Jeff Jarrett will be there.
That's amazing. Jeff Jarrett's a legend in this industry. May I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
I mean, this is for both of you guys. I'll start with Todd McFarlane. What match was it that put it on the map for you? Whether it was a young Todd or an older Todd, what match did you see that was like, you know what? I'm going to make pro wrestling. I'm going to make it my own. I'm going to make my own promotion and look at things my way.
It was really when I first laid my eyes on Spawn.
You get into that, like how great or how amazing were you blown away?
When I saw how Spawn was wrestling, I was amazed. I couldn't believe that he was that dominant. I mean, he looked like pure money out there. I was surprised he was in the independents and not somewhere bigger.
I mean, he is a massive man. I've seen him in person.
Not only is he a massive man, but he's also he's such a good wrestler. He's great in that ring too. He knows how to talk. He knows everything. I don't know how he was not picked up. So when I saw he was still available when this all started, I knew I had to get Spawn. There's not a specific Spawn match I could tell you that sold me. It was just when I saw Spawn. As for me, well, I used to be a wrestler, my son. Obviously, you're aware. So, it was my love for wrestling that made me.
I'm a big fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling too. I know you haven't been a very active member of the roster in quite some time. You've been backstage with the booking and production side of things, but some of my favorite wrestlers coming from there. Even some of your old locker mates, people you traveled the world and fought with. Big fan of Hiroshi Tanahashi. He's one of my favorites. Kazuchika Okada,
yes.
Will Ospreay.
Yes.
Big fan of Zack Sabre Jr. as well.
Yes, I mean.
How's it like working with them guys, whether you were wrestling them or booking with them or whatever the case may be?
Yes, it was great to being able to talk to and meet and work with so many greats. I mean, let's just face it, maybe this current generation has surpassed me a little bit. And it's been an honor to help guide them and book them into great directions. A little past my era. I was more so booking those ones.
Well, I mean, who was your favorite match that you had during your era?
My favorite match had to be when I fought Antonio Inoki.
Wait, which one? The one for the IWGP title or the Tokyo Dome House Show special one?
Gotta be the one that was for the title. That was a special moment.
That was a very special match there.
I know this match didn't even involve me, but many people call it the best match of all time. Master Roshi versus Antonio Inoki.
It's a classic. I mean, Master Splinter and Inoki. I mean, Master Roshi and Inoki, just a classic. Some would say define the wrestling we have today. I mean, the Hermit School, we've had so many greats come out of there, from Krillin, Goku. I mean, we know the Gohan trained there too. We mean, so many amazing athletes in the world of wrestling today have trained there.
A lot of people, a lot.
You know, Splinter, you've been doing this thing for a while, whether it was negotiation, whether it was business side of things, booking things, you know what I'm saying? You were big in the involvement of the rise of the Bullet Club in New Japan Pro Wrestling. How is it like signing with people like AJ Styles, and like how is contract negotiation, and is McFarlane good at that?
Contract negotiation can sometimes be a real pain in the ass.
Who was the biggest pain in the ass to sign when you were working for New Japan?
Well, you see, signing people was never the problem, because them getting the platform, it's once you book them and you get them to a certain level, they think they're owed more or deserve more. Certain people also think they've done their time and they want to go, so there is no way you can negotiate. For instance, Jay White, he didn't want to be in New Japan anymore, so he left. There was no negotiation.
Do you and Jay White still have a good relationship?
Every now and then.
I mean, I know you booked some of his matches, a lot of his career.
I did.
First ever IWGP Grand Slam champion, by the way.
He is. But yes, you know, there's just certain people who just want to walk away, try their hand in other places, like AJ Styles.
I mean, that takes you back to like almost over 10 years ago. He came in New Japan in like 2014.
But a lot of people just like trying their hand at other things, and I can understand that. And other people think they're owed more money.
That could definitely be a thing.
So negotiating is a problem. But Todd, he understands it, obviously. We have a lot of money to work with right now, so we're able to. And now that we have the lenience to air on this channel, now a lot more people are trying to come to us.
I mean,
for exposure.
McFarlane said it was Spawn. I might ask, what match was it for? Because obviously you've been booking for New Japan for well over a decade.
Yes.
What match was it, or what decision made you be like, I want to step away from this right here? I want to make my own promotion, or whatever the case may be, pulling out.
It was because New Japan was trying to limit me in what I was doing backstage. After all the work I've done for them, they were trying to limit me a little bit, so I didn't like that all too much. And then also, outside of that, I've seen what my sons were doing in Ring of Honor, and made me realize that I could have so much more creative freedom like I used to, so I felt it was just the right move to take my stocks out. Was that it?
I mean, I definitely understand that. I mean, moving on to Todd, is there anybody in particular, aside from Spawn, that like inspired you in this journey? Is anyone you want to sign? Any dream matches you want to have that UWF can say, yeah, we did that?
Well, one of them's happening. Miguel and Spawn. Miguel was another one. I was watching Miguel when he was still teaming with Miles Morales.
I mean, the Spider-Verse tag team, the work they did in AAA, in Pro Wrestling Noah was insane. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, when I saw the Spider-Verse taking on United Empire, Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher in Pro Wrestling Noah for the tag titles, it was an unbelievable match, you know? And then, obviously, they did drop the titles there, I mean, to Fletcher and Davis. But it was an amazing match, nevertheless. I mean, that was and then they ran it back again. But obviously, they had the match in New Japan, at Royal Quest in the UK. Amazing matches right there between them two teams. I mean,
they were.
Miguel, amazing. Any work he's done in Mexico, flawless. I think he is an amazing. He's a all well-rounded talent. He has Japanese strong style, lucha libre, American style. I mean,
But yeah, that's certainly a dream match that I have, and I'm grateful to say that we're having that match. Miguel was another one that really piqued my interest. Um, Trying to think of anybody else. I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, I've watched so much wrestling. I mean, but a lot of people currently under contract in other places. Have already been picked up by FOW or GVNW. Some of them are still in New Japan. Some of them are still in, Ring of Honor. Some of them are in Impact. Some of them are in ECW. There's still a lot of people all over the place who with still contracts. So as far as current free agents go, I don't really know. I mean, I've seen some work of that Quinn Malator guy. He's really talented.
I mean, I could go into Quinn Malator. What matches did you see? Because I can show you tell you some of the matches I've seen.
Well, I remember. I think it was like very early in Quinn's career. I think it was him fighting I think it was like Mike Bishop. He also had that match with Gregory Anderson.
Oh, him and Gregory Anderson need to run back some type of feud. The feud they did in the Indies and in GCW, it was freaking incredible, man. I mean, them two guys are wrestling soulmates, in my opinion. But when I first saw Quinn Malator, he's revolutionary. He's revolutionizing the sound, the style right now between the high pace, the daredevil action. But he's also not a small dude by any means either. So you get the athletic shit, you can get some of the powerhouse shit. I mean,
my also favorite, get some of the striker.
So yes, of course. My favorite match by him would be when he went over and did the match with Zack Sabre Jr. in Japan, because it was just like he had the technical prowess of ZSJ versus the daredevilness, and the styles mesh so fucking well. In my opinion, that'd be a type of match I'd love to see again. Obviously, negotiations. I know ZSJ still lives in Japan and doing his work there in Japan. I mean, Quinn Malator, his matches with... I know you'd never sign him, but his matches with Nick Gage weren't that bad. The deathmatch style that we know Quinn Malator could channel into, he has all types of style. He's revolutionizing the style we have here right now.
And that's another reason why I really like Quinn. He's a well-balanced. He can do anything. He can do the deathmatch. He can do the high speed, the high flying. He can do the striking. He can do the grappling. He's a little bit cocky, but he's cocky in a way that you like him for.
Of course. Definitely
he transitioned from being a daredevil so seamlessly into a wrestler. It's something I've never seen before.
I mean, yeah, I know he did some work in Hollywood. I know he had a couple movies that weren't the best, but I know I always had a love for pro wrestling. You could tell by the way he goes out there every single time you see him wrestle. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I liked his match. I think it was in PWG. He had a match with Brody King. It was fucking insane. That was before Brody King got the contract with GVW, of course. But yeah. Brody King being such a big dude, and I love Brody King and the way he wrestles. So, like, him and Malator blended very well. I know Quinn Malator did say some of his big inspirations were people like Darby Allin and Jeff Hardy. And we could see that. And, I could see a lot of Taka Michinoku in him. I was a big fan of Taka Michinoku. I know Taka Michinoku, he had some bangers. He has a big influence on the style we have today too. I mean,
I feel like that would also make sense with his finisher being the Michinoku driver,
the King's Crusher. I know he's a big fan of all types of wrestling, all types of media in general. Maybe. But I do love Quinn. I think he has a bright future, and I'm glad that he could finally get his name in a more mainstream light here instead of doing all these crazy matches. I've seen, like I said, crazy matches, man, that he's had.
And then outside of that, again, we've just had a lot of people been reaching out to us, and I can't name everybody, but there's a lot of people, a lot of ex-FOW guys.
I mean, something new starting up, so of course people want to dip their toes in the new pond, get their feet wet, and definitely see what this new place is all about. I'm definitely looking forward to the United Wrestling Force bringing a new light to pro wrestling. It's always fun to see something new here in pro wrestling. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
And I definitely do look forward, see where the UWF can really go. How far can it go? How can it take the world by storm? You know what I'm saying? I mean,
that's obviously the plan.
So you just mentioned Gregory Anderson. Has he been on a call list to be here?
It's funny you say that. His contract did just come up. I've seen Gregory since he was pretty young into the business. I mean, he was just doing the the Louisiana independence. He was
Yeah,
doing some Southern independence.
I've seen him. I've seen him team up with New Jack to take on the Rock and Roll Express. Very trippy match, but I was entertained.
That was a
I
weird
was
one.
definitely entertained to see them
I
old guys
remember when he
lock.
had that weird match with Leo Rush.
Listen, the match he did with Leo Rush was insane. You know what I'm saying? Because Gregory
Yeah, it
Anderson.
wasn't traditional Leo Rush. It was
It was
Blackheart.
Blackheart Leo Rush when he
Yeah.
took on Gregory Anderson. I honestly thought it was a banger. You know what I'm
I
saying?
can't.
I mean,
It was.
it was something.
I didn't expect it, but it was a match.
And especially seeing somebody like him go to New Japan, he would compete in the best of the Super Juniors and had an amazing match with Nick Wayne. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Nick Wayne's another guy I'd love to see. He's very young.
But Gregory Anderson, he has been on the list of people who we've reached out to, and we're currently in negotiations with him. He seems to be very compliant with this, and he seems to want to actually, come here and take a chance at what we're doing.
As I said, his best matches are with Quit Malator. Any matches they've had have been gold. So, obviously not a lot of people might not be familiar with Gregory Anderson, but he is an independent Louisiana wrestler who's done a lot of work. He has worked with some legends of the business. Like I said, he worked with New Jack, the Rock and Roll Express. He's had amazing matches with Quinn Malator. He's competed in the best of the Super Juniors, booking under Splinter, of course.
Yeah, sure.
So he's done a lot of great things. It's definitely still unrecognizable. He definitely needs a foot in the door, and hopefully the fans could get along. Hopefully a mainstream audience could get along with him. Is there anybody else that like?
I mean, again, there's been a lot of ex-FOW guys who've reached out to me, not just for the platform, but just because, when they took a chance on you, didn't seem to work out. So they're trying to try their hand at another big, now big promoted company, see how that's going to go. So obviously I'm not going to name any names. I mean, you'll see them when you see them, but there's been a couple of those that have reached out. A couple people whose contracts are ending very shortly, they've reached out to us.
I feel like, the wrestling world's so big, and I feel like this podcast really blurs the lines of reality of how truly big this wrestling world is.
It really does. It really does.
Truly does. I mean, Todd McFarlane already talked about ECW, which, there's been some amazing things going on there in ECW.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I mean, it was crazy to see Warlord in the crowd, but, Warlord, he did something I don't know if any men have ever done. I mean, he combined the World Championship with the television title, and he unified them to make the World Television Championship.
That was definitely an insane unification match he did there. You know what I'm saying? I know there has been some amazing matches in ECW.
He's been on a monstrous reign.
Yeah,
he's been champ for a while.
He has been champ for a while there, I know ECW has a lot of raw talent. I'm a big Sabu guy, big Mike Awesome guy. Mike Awesome and Warlord, I think, have an upcoming match for that Eastern Championship Wrestling title. So we'll see how that one goes out. Two big ass motherfuckers going out there.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Warlord's gonna do. But also, I think I got another sneak peek for you guys. I mean, not only just ex-FOW guys, but even current FOW guys. I'm not trying to leave, but they've taken interest and they've reached out about making an appearance or wrestling.
That'd be amazing to see some FOW guys help build up this brand.
Even had one wrestler hand requested from Mondo Gecko. I'm not going to say any names. You can feel free to speculate, but also while I was talking to Mondo Gecko, he informed me that, we're not just going to randomly upload this, this whole show, we're getting some leeway. We, I guess, also get to have our own road too. We get to actually put some effort and build towards the show, and I appreciate, the amount of presentation you guys are willing to give for us.
I mean, will we get a confirmed date on when this drops?
The goal is sometime this month. But obviously we're still working out contracts. We're still working out the negotiations. We're still working on the whole set. And once the whole set's good, this will be good. Obviously, we'll drop dates when we're dropping dates.
That's good to hear.
Also, still getting the match cards and whatnot together.
Of course, gotta get all that together. As we move forward in this UWF partnership over here with FOW. You're able to air the pay-per-view Operation Genesis on the channel. Are you taking the most of this opportunity?
We are taking the most of this opportunity, so we're not obviously just going to accept every and all people who are trying. We'll talk to them, but we want to really put a lot of the best or people who we see a lot of stuff in, and we really want to get, we really want to make a big impact for these people to remember. So we're going for the biggest matches possible. We're going for the biggest moments possible. We're even still getting our titles like fully made. So, there's a lot of things going into this first show, and we're really trying to make it as big as possible. We're trying to put everything at the top charts so we can even be competing, with you guys or with the GVW. Like, maybe not, like ratings-wise, but match-wise, the quality of it.
Of course. You know what I'm saying? I mean, definitely a lot of stuff to look forward to. You definitely are scouting a lot of hot talent here, you know what I'm saying? There are some people I'd say, on a dream list that I'd love to see signed there. I could go on for days, because, you're starting up something new, getting some new guys out there. Is there anybody that you've looked at that maybe the audience will, I wouldn't even be familiar with?
Who I'm interested in? Well, I can do both sides of the coin. I could go some people who people would know and some people who they might not know. So on the the side of the coin of people who know, even though their contract isn't expired, obviously, when that contract's coming up, I want to have some negotiations with, you mentioned them earlier, United Empire. I want to have some talks with Kyle Fletcher. I want to have some talks with Mark Davis. Those guys are two great guys. And even a younger wrestler who's recently started coming up, like a Javon Evans. Would love to get to work with him, really see what he's all about, see how he is. And then on the other side of the coin of people might not know, you got I
know you mentioned Mike Bishop. I'm not too familiar with his work.
Mike Bishop, yeah, he's a former soldier, he served,
How'd you end up beating him?
How do we...
was it through, military respect? Because I know you go to indie shows with, 20 people, and they're just always the scout.
Yeah, of course. I really went there because, again, he was fighting Quinn Malator, and I was impressed with his work, and, I was allowed backstage, and, me and him were talking for a little bit, and I then went and checked out a little bit more of his work, and I was thoroughly impressed by Mike Bishop. That's somebody who the people might not know. Another person who I've really looked at, even though he's in other countries, but this guy named Mascara Dorada. No connection to the previous one or whatever.
Grand Metalik.
Yeah, no connection to that one, or there's also another.
The mask seems to always change.
Yeah, and also somebody who he's worked a lot with, Cadaver, another luchador. Been a lot of luchadors recently. There's even this guy. His name was Sauce Ramirez, and I've honestly never seen something like him. He was very unique and very interesting.
Interesting. I can't say I'm not really familiar with these names, but that's why we have this platform, so you're able to get these names out there, and people could look into them or ask about them and see more about their work and what they're all about and what they're really doing here.
Of course, we're also always looking for new talent. We're always looking for new people. We're always looking to, get negotiations with other people. Obviously, maybe not everyone's going to come to us. Other people, they might want to go to FOW.
I'd love to see, if I had to make a wish list, who I'd love to see in the UWF ring, Sean Spears, Zack Sabre Jr., anything younger talent, Leon Slater.
About to say him.
From TNA.
Somebody else who we've been looking into, but contracts.
Of course, I know he signed a multi-year deal with TNA, so we'll have to see how that one would play out. Oh, damn, man! There's a lot of wrestlers in the world who are currently, independent.
A lot, yeah.
So there's way too many people to just think of off the top of my head.
There's a lot of people to think about and a lot of people to name, yeah.
I mean, those are just some of the few names. You know, I've always been a big fan of Leon Slater since he's came out. You know, he's very athletic, very unique. His finisher is insane. So it'd be cool to see somebody like him. Obviously, like I said, contracts, things like that.
Yeah, of course, always going to play a little bit of a hindrance. You can't have the roster that you exactly envision on paper, since a lot of people, you know, who you would want, you know, they're in other places, and then other people, you know, they're still signed to contracts. Not everyone's available at the moment. So, you know, we're lucky to have as many people reach out to us as we have. I think so far we've gotten, like, at least, I'm trying to think, maybe, like, Splinter, what do you think the range is? Somewhere around, like, 40 to 50?
It's pretty good.
Something like that. And obviously, we're taking everybody with the... We can't just sign all these people all at once, so...
Is there anything groundbreaking or unique or something that's never been seen before that we see in the UWF?
I think something that can separate us from a lot of people is the amount of uniqueness that's very possible. I mean, because, you know, FOW, GW, they rely more on these, you know, established stars, and there's no problem with that, but there's a lot of people who have reached out to us who are, you know, in negotiations with currently who aren't known by the general public. So I feel like that's one thing that'll separate us as different. Another thing is obviously, you know, always going to be with how the show actually is produced, how the show is. Even the commentary, you know, we've been talking to some people for commentary. One of them done commentary a while, especially during the British scene. The other guy, I don't know where he was found. I don't know.
You know who these commentators are?
I do know these commentators are. We had, you know, iconic commentator in the British scene. We got Bartholomew.
Oh, Big Bartholomew. I've met him. Haven't really worked with him on a commentary desk.
Yeah, we've been in talks with him, and the other guy, his name was Wally Ramone.
Can't say I heard of him. He sounds like a wannabe rock star.
I don't know.
I mean, I can say about Big Bartholomew is, for starters, he has worked with some matches in New Japan, so Splinter, I'm sure, might have pointed you in that direction. I know.
Yeah, sure.
At Royal Quest, he did the commentary for the United Empire match versus Miles and Miguel. So, you know, Bartholomew, he's been doing this stuff for a while. You know, he's very passionate for wrestling, whether it's pro wrestling, whether it's British style, Japanese style, American style, lucha libre, Joshi. I mean, he's really he goes around the fucking world, man. Like, I will give Bartholomew, man, that's a fucking workhorse. And on his dream list, I know he's always wanted to commentate a Nigel McGuinness match.
Exactly. You know, maybe we can make that happen one day, but you know, it's great that we're in talks with him, and he seems early on board, and it honestly seems like he might actually end up coming through for us.
Oh, that'd be amazing, man. I mean, if there's anyone else that I'd say could fit a good commentary role, you know, my boy Kevin Kelly from New Japan, my boy, the good old JR, you know, you never go wrong with him, a living legend.
Yeah, I mean, there's other people out there, you know, like Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, even Mauro Ranallo.
Mauro Ranallo would be incredible to see touch the commentary desk.
Of course, you know, there's a lot of people. So, but, you know, we might not have the budget for certain people, and that's okay. And again, we're not trying to sign all these people all at once. You know, we're looking, and we just got to hope that our first show is so good so we can actually go and reach out to more talent, you know, negotiate for some more, maybe increase the quality, increase roster size, you know. But I feel like for the people that are, you know, going to give us a chance, for the people that are checking us out, and, you know, there's going to be difference.
Of course.
We will stand out. We're not just going to be another company. We're going to stand out. We're going to be something that you remember. We're going to be something unique that stands out compared to every other Fed.
I mean, yeah, of course. And I can't wait to see it, you know what I'm saying? Especially with somebody like Bartholomew, who I know could bring in I know he's good friends with Jordan Devlin. I know he's good friends with a lot of people in that circuit over there. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure if he's really on board with this team, I'm sure he knows some people to put on this roster.
He might. He might. He's also commentated for so many people, even before, he came into a FOW. Mind you, he's been there for a little bit now, but he was even commentating Ilya Dragunov matches.
I mean, he's very young, but he's been doing this shit for a while. I feel like he's in his early 20s, but you know, you don't need to be you need to train to be a commentator. So he's really just been speaking his mind for years. Saying he's commentated for Will Ospreay. He's commentated for a lot of people.
He really has a lot of British talent, a lot of that Europe style.
I know he commentated the Best of the Super Juniors tournament too.
He did. He does a lot of work with New Japan as well. He might, but
he commentated one of my favorites as far as the Joshi wrestling goes. He commentated the Kairi Sane versus Kitana match for the Stardom Championship, and it was freaking incredible. His commentator, the way he was able to tell the story throughout the whole match, and I mean, I'll leave it to the fans to hear the catchphrase. Okay, he has something that's so simple yet so amazing to be the climax call. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
So what I'm telling you, bro, he could walk you through damn near anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I have a great appreciation for Bartholomew and the commentary he's been doing. So it's great that he's.
I didn't mean to put him out there, but he's someone that I've met and I haven't touched a desk with him, but we've met and talked a lot, and I'm a big fan of his commentary. When I hear him, I'm getting jiggy with it.
That's all right. And again, the Wally Ramon guy, I don't really know where he came from. I don't know the origins. He just kind of popped in, and I kind of like how charismatic he is. I mean, he came in really talkative, and he was really talking about how it would mean a lot to him, and so I think I might be willing to give him a chance. Maybe not as a commentator, maybe as an interview, in some capacity, but
see where it goes
we'll see where it goes as show. Exactly. And I really like his charisma, so I think he might end up being a good commentator choice. So we'll see.
You both, well, Splinter, you were one of them, so you witnessed this firsthand. But growing up, you're watching pro wrestling. We had the territories. Within the territories, it was one big wrestling world. You know what I'm saying? But obviously, throughout time, the territories ended up all getting bought out by who, Mr. Nappa over there, who ended up taking all the wrestling history, owning it, and restarting it in GVNW and discarding things that he didn't deem necessary. And so it was hard for pro wrestling to recover after that, because Nappa took this to a multi-billion-dollar, mainstream enterprise idea phenomenon. I mean, he invented WrestleMania. You know what I'm saying? He's a genius and he's a madman too. You know what I'm saying? But Nappa, used to be a pro wrestler too. So, when Nappa was able to get the Saiyan inheritance, all that money he got, all the money made from his matches, we got to a point where Nappa was, if you were paying him $50K for a match, he wasn't popping out. He was that big of a draw for the industry. You know what I'm saying? And when he's able to buy out all the territories and make his own wrestling world and empire, which is not what we have at GVW, it was so hard for pro wrestling to recover. It started small when, New Japan came back and all these other promotions like Impact and TNA and then, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All that, Ring of Honor all started up. Then to an FOW who really just took it by storm, became somewhat of a rival, you know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of
revolutionary.
They did start a revolution because especially after that time, you know what I'm saying, Nappa owned everything. And now we have someone who could maybe even be in competition. Now, that's no tribalism stuff. I feel like Nappa and Observer have a great relationship. And Observer will tell you straight up, Nappa's a fucking genius.
Yeah, that seems like a friendly rivalry type of thing.
Friendly rivalry, of course, because we have the Forbidden Door concept. I think Nappa's a genius, too. I've never seen someone be able to take everything, own it for himself, and restart it from scratch.
It certainly.
And I'm not going to say it damaged pro wrestling, but pro wrestling really had to dig itself back up to compete with such a big powerhouse.
And now we're one of those things that are getting
digged
up.
Something that I feel like really suffered and died from the pro wrestling revolution would be I'm not allowed to talk about it on the show. I don't want to piss off Napa.
Hey, go ahead. I mean, shoot for the fences. You guys always talk about anything here.
I mean, there's no shade to Napa, but back then, back in the day when wrestling was one, when excuse me, something in my throat. Hold up, pause, chat.
You good over there, Shoutmon?
Yeah, sometimes you talk too much, your throat gets dry. Pause.
Yeah, I get that.
But,
I guess.
Back when wrestling was just one big empire, everyone was doing shows and working together. We had men's wrestling and women's wrestling. Back then we saw Tsunade and Genkai, Bull Nakama, fucking.
Bull Nakano, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I just tripped on my words. We seen all types of talent. Biscuit, who trained Golden Killua. We seen so many women's wrestlers, but when Napa bought it, he didn't see the need for it. So women's wrestling took forever to come back, and thanks to trainers who never gave up on a women's revolution like Tsunade, were able to train to now. Over the past 5 to 7 years, we got a reimbursement with wrestling, like Joshi wrestling.
I was just about to say,
the knockouts division of TNA.
I was just about to say, Stardom, has also been like red hot. It's been great. A lot of great talent over there. The knockouts division's been pretty good. Obviously, it seems like they lose a lot of talent frequently to Stardom, but they also gain their talent back.
I do know that Stardom and the knockouts division do have a working relationship.
Oh, yeah, of course. Me and Splinter have talked about the idea of a women's division, but again, we already have so many negotiations. We don't have all the money to work with, so we haven't put the pen to paper on it yet, and I'm not going to give you guys any false hope yet to say, yeah, we're doing one, but it's been heavily considered of doing one. But we don't have the funds for it.
I do think something like that would definitely separate you guys from the rest.
Yeah, of course. And
and like I said, I think it creates competition,
Of course. And again, we'd love to do it. We just don't have the funds for it at the moment. We just really got to see how this takes off. And hey, who knows?
I mean,
you might be seeing women on the channel.
We might just see that. And that's no shade to Napa, Napa just seen his wrestling vision without them. And that's completely on him.
And hey, even like we could talk about, another thing that also kind of got hurt. And Daffy, you competed in what I'm about to say, but OWE kind of suffered a little bit from, Napa's
tyranny.
Yeah, tyranny over the industry, you can say, but it's a good tyranny, but it's also bad. But you know what I mean? Yes, I competed in the OWE, and it got bought out, and it died. They didn't find a need for me.
I mean, I'm glad to see you at this desk with me, though, Daff.
Of course. It's great to be here. It's great to be offered back.
Of course.
Hey, Observer was at least able to restart a company. And when he was going to start this company, I mean, there was originally going to be a women's division. Have you guys ever talked to Observer about why that didn't end up coming to the light of day?
I feel like some of it boils down to I feel like some of it just boils down to not a lot of women are willing to go into a mainstream light of pro wrestling again after what happened the last time, the Great Shutdown. So I feel like a lot of contracts just didn't go through the way we wanted it to. And it is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, Observer has no hard feelings towards it. I know Observer, I'm sure, would love to have one or love to see one thrive in a mainstream light. I just know, obviously, with with Napa just having a different vision for pro wrestling, a lot of women see the mainstream opportunity to have. Some of them get cold feet, you get a little nervous, you know what I'm saying? That's why people like Scott D'Amore or even Master Splinter, who was a Master Splinter, did help book over there at Stardom and stuff like that. And obviously New Japan and Stardom have the relationship working, and Scott D'Amore working in TNA. They seen the vision about 5 to 7 years ago to try to bring it back. And amazing, we have trainers like Tsunade and Biscuit who can train a new revolution of women's wrestling. Because obviously not all wrestling fans are going to be men. There's going to be women who watch this who want to be pro wrestlers, and you know what I'm saying, can't always hide them forever. And I feel like they're in a safe place right now where they're not being thrown against,
oppressed.
Yeah. And they're able to work in a semi-mainstream light, have a fan base that absolutely loves them. So, you know what I'm saying? But it would be amazing to see if it could move up into that mainstream light like it once was during the Great Empire days.
Of course, and again, we'd love to have a women's division. It's just a matter of the funds. We don't have enough, paying for the arena, paying for the belts, the contracts.
Definitely just gotta see how business booms, how much money you guys.
Of course, and also I was about to say another thing. You mentioned Observer has no hard feelings. Well, Observer's like a blindly kind man. I mean, he has such a warm heart. Damn, I don't think he hardly ever gets mad.
I mean, he definitely lost his shit when Goku Black dropped the mic on him, said he quit.
Oh, well, he wasn't angry about it. He seemed more sad, if anything.
I mean, I've known Observer for quite some time. I know him and Goku Black. It's a very love-hate manipulative relationship, it feels like.
Well, if Goku Black quit, any way that we can maybe get in contact?
There'd be a lot of money.
I don't think Observer will give you the opportunity.
I think that might break his kindness.
Well, obviously it's all just jokes. I ain't trying to actually, we'll see how this goes and we'll see what happens with Goku Black. But you guys, that caught me off guard too.
That same show, you guys were able to present.
Of course, that's why I didn't expect that.
Career history defining show there. You know what I'm saying?
Of course. Also about the Braun Strowman news.
Yeah, that was insane. Strowman. I've known Strowman for some time. He's traveled up and down the roads in the UWF, whether it's in catering or he's going out there and wrestling and stuff like that. I know Strowman has a lot on his plate right now. And that's no pun intended. But I do know Strowman, he's always wanted an opportunity. It's all he's ever wanted, whether it's in GVW or FOW. So I do think it's jumping the gun, or if he can't beat Drew, he would quit. But at the same time, it's like, when do you ever hear Braun Strowman get an opportunity? And I feel like he's looking at it like, dude, if I don't do this, fuck it. I'm never going to do it again.
And it's just somehow the way that, the cookies crumble, and it's sad.
It is sad, but hopefully, the best possible outcome could happen. I'm a big fan of Drew. I've advocated him backstage for a long time. He's one of the best Raw talents. He has it all. Presentation. I mean, he just got awarded a new belt, and the belt looked amazing.
Oh, that belt looks great.
So that's why I'm like, big fan of Drew. But his first challenger is a big, big monster.
Monster of all monsters.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like a lot of stuff going on in the wrestling world. The wrestling world is red hot, unlike how it's ever been. GBW, we approach the Royal Rumble. We approach Double or Nothing here in FOW, and in the UWF, we approach your first event being Operation Genesis. There's just so much shit that is going down.
Of course. It seems like we're in a big boom period again.
Definitely a giant boom period here in the world of pro wrestling. I can't wait to see where it goes.
You know what? It's typically you guys asking the questions. I just thought of something. Shoutmon, why made you step away from wrestling? Because, not even that long ago, you and your tag partner, Shoutmon X4, you guys were challenged for the ROH tag titles. You guys were unsuccessful, but what made you step away into coming back to FOW just to be, the co-host for this?
The dream was always to be a pro wrestler. I'll admit, I wasn't the best. I've had my moments in the tag team run. I've had my moments in the junior circuit of New Japan. Never competed in the cup, but super circuit. But I've also spent a lot of time backstage. I don't think it was that much of a downgrade for me because I haven't spent a lot of time backstage. I've spent a lot of time learning the ropes of all wrestling because I knew when I retire from this shit, I want to be involved in pro wrestling. So I learned everything I can. And to get a job back in any capacity is a blessing. So I'm not upset about it. I'd love to get in a wrestling ring again, but if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be.
And you still in contact with Shoutmon X4?
Yeah, I definitely am still in contact with him. He's one of my main mans right there. He's just Ring of Honor, and him just been going through a lot of shit, man. Not a lot of good news over there for him and his contract. They want to lowball him.
And not only, I've heard the lowball. I also heard that, he's on he's on the chopping block. Yeah, it's been some stuff, you know.
It's been fucking crazy, dude.
But I mean, I guess in the changing gears, I mean, considering Mondo told us that we can have a road to, we can have some build to this. We're gonna, you know, we're gonna get that filmed. We're gonna get everyone who we need to gather, and we'll upload that, you know, within the next 2 weeks or so. So, you know, something reasonable. We'll get that in. We already were having planned other things as well. So I mean, we'll take as much advertisement for this event as possible.
Of course.
While we're talking about the 5th event, before you finalize and put anything pen to paper, I think it's time I talk to you about this announcement that Observer blessed us with giving. Alright, I'm all ears. Yes, my son, I'm all ears. Well, obviously you already know you got the partnership with us. You're allowed to air your show on this channel. And, you know, maybe even a working agreement with our talent. But Observer himself went and talked. And Splinter, I think you're going to be very happy about this one. Really, my son? Well, yes, because you'll be able to see your sons. Because Ring of Honor and ECW have agreed to have a partnership with your company. Wow. That is crazy. That is groundbreaking.
Yeah, and groundbreaking announcement right there for the UWF.
You're telling me I get to book my sons? Yes. Leo and Raft are the ROH Tag Team Champions. Well, that really does change a lot of things, because now if we have a working partnership with them, I mean, and it does go deep. You know, you can use their talents. You know, you can use their belts. You can do a lot of things. That's crazy. That's crazy. And we were just talking about them. Alright, well, maybe I won't finalize anything just yet. And, you know, gotta think. Again, we were still thinking about the card, you know, thinking about whatnot. So, gonna put a little more thought into this before gathering everybody for, you know, whatever. And, I mean, I'm not gonna deny there's probably gonna be some people who just pop out of nowhere during the road, too, you know. Just happen to hear, like, hey, it's going down today. So, you know, just have to see how things play out.
That is groundbreaking news to have two major underground independent promotions be able to partner with you in this upbringing of the UWF.
I'm just speechless. I can't honestly believe it. I mean, we were just talking about, you know, the Warlord and how long he's been champion for, and we were talking about how ROH has been doing their things lately, and, you know, I mean, even on FOW, you know, you're talking about, you know, how the Justice League are about to have the match for, you know, TMNT's ROH tag titles.
They're about to have that on pay-per-view.
Yeah, they were about to have that on pay-per-view, and that's crazy. It's crazy to believe that we got that partnership. Thank you, Observer, for reaching out to them for us, and really, I genuinely do think Observer means every word that he says when he says he wants to help build the future of wrestling, whether that's his company or any other company. He seems to really have a love, a desire for this, and I really appreciate him for it, for giving me a chance, giving me a spotlight, giving me time, advertising,
all that.
Yeah, I mean, just talk to other companies for me, and, you know, I guess I'll talk about this now. I mean, obviously, Mondo was talking about some people in FOW, but Observer was trying to get me in contact with, you know, some other people, and Observer just really seems to...
The nicest man you'll meet.
He really is. It seems to really care about this wrestling stuff. I can imagine this is gonna go well for the future. This whole partnership.
This will be historical.
Well, Shoutmon, I think we've talked about a lot of things with these two.
Definitely covered a lot. I mean, we covered the basic gist of the past FOW episode. I mean, just a brief rundown. I mean, Logan Paul's now in FOW. Looks like he's getting into something with Trent Beretta. We'll see where that goes. We have Logan Paul sponsored Prime. We have, Kenny Omega and Sami Zayn officially started the program. And then obviously next episode we have Hydra Bob and Sami Zayn wrestling, right?
Yes.
So I was like, okay. So next episode, that's a big time main event.
We also have Kenosuke Takeshita taking on Pac next episode.
Of course. We've had a lot
Braun Strowman, Claudio.
Yeah, so this episode definitely had a lot of more introductions and more builds and starters and things like that.
Chad Gable's the number 1 contender.
For Gunther, of course.
Pure Pandemonium.
Our next super show in FOW. So I feel like a lot of things going down in the world of FOW. You know what I'm saying? We're not supposed to really cover G and W because I don't really work with them that much, but they've been having a great show. The Battle Tendency was a phenomenal show.
That 4-way was great.
Yeah, that 4-way was amazing. Every pay-per-view they have, it's just... Nappa's such a fucking genius, bro. I mean, he's amazing. He's an evil motherfucker, but he knows what he's doing. SummerSlam, the Battle Tendency, the stories, and just everything that went into those pay-per-views were amazing. But I shouldn't be sitting here glazing that company because it's on FOW. It's FOW Future Talk.
Yeah, and I'd love to be able to work with Nappa too one day. That'd be great because, I've seen GVW, obviously. I'm not living under a rock or anything. And I've just never been able to meet him face to face. I've never been able to work with him in a business sense. And that'd be an honor for me personally to be able to work with him.
I know Splinter has wrestled him.
I have wrestled him.
And he knows of him. And they've probably been a long time since they talked, though.
No, it hasn't been all too long. I mean, we talked during negotiations for certain wrestlers. Wasn't the nicest conversations. He was very adamant he gets those wrestlers.
He wasn't taking no for an answer.
No, he was
not. No, I understand. That sounds like Nappa. To me, always about the money, the business, and all that. That's why he's the multi-million-dollar corrupt businessman he is, in the words of CM Punk.
But again, we should probably stop talking about VVNW.
Of course, it's the FOW Future Talk.
In FOW, there's been a lot of great things happening, and there seems to be a lot of great things happening with the UWF. But Shoutmon, I think we've covered everything. I think we've asked them everything we need to ask.
I would definitely agree. I mean, definitely put eyes on the UWF, talked about the product and what we could see in here, and hopefully there's a fan investment. Hopefully the fans do watch and there's a fan investment, and we can put eyes on the UWF and get everyone, as many people as possible, to tune into the Operation Genesis and see where this goes.
Of course.
We're united.
Of course, and we even talked about wrestling history. We talked about certain talents who have been scouting. We talked about independence. We talked about ROH. We talked about just wrestling world in general, wrestling history, and it's honestly, it was a treat. It's great. It was great to talk to you guys. Great to be here. Great to really put the United Wrestling Force on the map.
Of course, man. It's always an honor to have these future talks.
And all I can really say is to all you people watching, for all you people here right now, even if this doesn't interest you, even if you don't check us out, give us this chance to entertain you. Because I promise you, me and Splinter are going to change wrestling.
Of course, in the main event of their first show, it's Spawn versus Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara, to crown the first ever inaugural United Wrestling Force champion. The UWF World Championship will be defended and crowned on the first ever show, UWF Operation Genesis, for their promotion. And those are two big names, Spawn and Miguel O'Hara. Doesn't get much bigger than that in the world of independent pro wrestling.
No, it really doesn't. And it's an honor we get to run that match on the UWF. Two of the most dominant wrestlers of the modern era. Two of the most Just Miguel, having to work his way up Spawn. I mean, he was just so dominant. I mean,
couldn't say no.
Of course. But that's going to be certainly a match worth watching, and the whole show is going to be worth watching. We'll have the road to you guys shortly, and we'll do everything we need to. And again, the goal is to get this out by the end of the month. But we've had a great talk today, and I still got negotiations and whatnot. I still got to talk to people making my titles and a lot of things. Still got to talk about a lot of things. So I think I gotta go.
It's an honor having you, man.
Of course, it was an honor talking about all this stuff with you guys, and I think that I have to go now. So,
peace out, man.
Yeah, it was an honor being here. It really was. Thank you, Shoutmon. Thank you, Daffy. Of course.
Man.
Thank you, my sons, for having me. Of course, wrestling legend.
Of course, absolute legend. You've had nothing but bangers in your history, and you booked amazingly in your time in New Japan.
Can't wait to see what you book in the new company. Enjoy your freedom. Thank you, my son. I'll make sure that I book greatness for you guys. And for all you fans, or should I say, all my sons. Thank you. I think that's safe to say that was a pretty successful episode of Future Talk.
I mean, yeah, we talked about everything. Talked about wrestling history, the upcoming wrestling, the historical events that are going to take place.
Talked about FOW, talked about DVW, talked about all these companies. Talked about a lot of wrestlers.
Really opened a true forbidden door.
Indeed. And next time we're on Future Talk, I mean, obviously, guest subject to change. It's happened before, as of right now. Currently not slated for one.
But obviously, as you always say, card subject to change.
And next time we do Future Talk, maybe we have seen Operation Genesis.
Definitely have to wait and see what the wrestling world has in store.
But until next time, this has been Daffy Duck. It's my co-host, Shoutmon. We're signing off. Thanks for listening to our talk. We'll see you in the future for the next Future Talk.